Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Modern and Modest with myself as your host Noshina Ghani at the lovely Aha Avondale Boutique Hotel. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And as we know, October marks Down Syndrome Month, and what better than to educate ourselves a little bit more about Down Syndrome. With me today, I have the branch manager of Down Syndrome Association, Angie Govinsamy, who will be able to talk us through and educate us more about Down Syndrome. Welcome, Angie, to Modern and Modest, and it was such a pleasure for me to know that we'd be interviewing an individual like yourself in this month of October.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here today and to create awareness on Down syndrome. It's so well needed.
I'm sure. Now, Angie, October being the month of Down Syndrome Month, you chatted earlier about there being a specific day in this month. What date would that be for Down Syndrome?
The 20th of October being National Down Syndrome Day.
So, Angie, with the 20th of October marked as National Down Syndrome Day, how long has this day been marked for in our calendars?
The 20th of October marks National Down Syndrome Day, and the 21st of March, which is World Down Syndrome Day.
So, Angie, could you tell us more about what is Down syndrome?
Okay, Down syndrome is a genetic disorder that affects the chromosomes in the body. For example, you as an individual is born with 46 chromosomes, but a baby with Down syndrome has 47 chromosomes. It's the number 21 chromosome that is doubled, and another name for Down syndrome will be trisomy 21.
So you mentioned being the chromosomes. So in an individual like myself, how many chromosomes would I have, and how many chromosomes would a Down syndrome?
Okay, you will have 46, and a baby with Down syndrome will have 47.
So just with the one chromosome,
yes,
it
it's
makes
the
such
number.
A big difference.
Yes, each set of chromosomes have two as one set, but the number 21 chromosome has two sets, so it's doubled.
Okay, now Angie, your story with being associated with the Down Syndrome Association, when has this started out for you, and how did it all begin?
Okay, when my son was a year old, I had a call from a lady called Andrea Alok, and she was the outreach facilitator for the Down Syndrome Association. And she used to go out into the communities and form like little support groups, and they used to call it a little coffee morning, where she used to get the mums with babies with Down syndrome involved and create a bit of a support structure for them. And when Andrea called me, I was not interested in joining any sort of organization at the time. My focus was only my child, and when I shared my experience with Andrea, she was so excited to have me on board, not because she wanted me to have support, but she wanted me to support other moms. And for that reason, I did join. We had a little support group in Chatsworth, where the moms used to meet once a month at individual houses, and we used to just chat and help each other wherever we could. I was then introduced to the organization by Andrea, where she invited me to a board meeting, and we just sat in as observers. And at the AGM, I was nominated to become a board member as a parent with a child with Down syndrome, and I sat on the board as an observer for maybe 4 years, and eventually I became the chairperson for the organization for 2 years. And I also was involved with Down Syndrome South Africa, which is our umbrella body, and I was their vice chair for a year, and I am now the branch manager for Down Syndrome Association KZN.
Okay, so over how many years? What period has this taken?
Approximately 13 years. My son is now 15.
And how's he doing, Andrew?
He's very well. He's actually at school. Today is Tuesday, and every Tuesday mornings they go up to Shongweni for horse riding, and he loves it. My biggest fear now is when he exits school at 18, what's going to happen, because he's going to miss all of those extracurricular activities.
So with Down syndrome kids, I guess as parents or as a mum, you have to be a very strong-minded individual to bring normality in your child's life. because at the end of the day, it isn't a disease. It's just,
No.
A child being born with an extra set of that number 21 chromosome, like you
Yes,
mentioned.
it's not a disease, it's not an illness. There's no medication to rectify it. There's no surgeries to rectify it as well. Yes, we have to be very strong-minded. We treat okay, I've got 4 children. Damien's my 3rd, and all 4 of them are treated alike. If he misbehaves or if he does something wrong, he gets punished. When I say punished, it's not hitting, it's merely disciplining and taking away their favorite toy or the activities that they like most, like watching TV, or the appliances like the video games and that sort of thing.
So I would think it's important to sort of have the normal behavior towards your child like you would with any other individual or other kid. And that would also determine their response. If you're going to treat them any differently, then I'm sure you're going to get a different response as well when it comes to.
Yes, it's very important to treat them normal, like you would treat any other child. Yes, there is a soft spot. I won't deny that, because they are very special individuals, very loving, very caring. You would get more love and care out of a child with Down syndrome than you would from an ordinary child, I'd say. But the most important thing is to treat them normal, give them every bit of opportunity that is out there, and let them thrive.
With schooling, Angie, are there specific special schools for Down syndrome children, or do they go to straight mainstream schooling?
Okay, there is no special school only for children with Down syndrome. Yes, there are private schools, which is very expensive, but with government schools, there are all special schools with various disabilities. My son at the moment is at West Park, which is based in Malvern in Durban, and he's doing exceptionally well there.
Are you ever afraid of, now him being 15 and before you know it 18, stepping out into the real world? When you're out there, you get the kind individual, and then you might get, unfortunately, the nasty individual.
Yes.
Are there any type of stigmas that are attached to Down syndrome individuals?
Yes, they are. There are a lot of stigmas. There's no opportunities for them. I mean, as I said, my biggest fear is when my son exits school, what is he going to do? There's no job opportunities for them. Not many companies would want to employ a child with Down syndrome, because it's not because they don't want to employ them. It's just that the awareness is not out there as much as we would want it to be. They are capable of working. For example, they can pack at a supermarket. They can do filing if they are trained to do it. They can do anything if they're given an opportunity to do. My son loves motor mechanics. He loves anything to do with the vehicle. My husband is a panel beater, and he will tell you everything about panel beating. He helps his dad work at home so he can do whatever he's been told to do. Yesterday he came home and he says, "Dad, I will teach you how to fix an engine."
Wow, that is
and
amazing.
he explained the tools that was used. So I'm just using that as an example to show you that as much as you would think giving a child with a disability a hammer may be something that it's not good to do, yes, he was using a hammer, he was supervised, but it also gave him an opportunity to say, okay, that's something I need to do, and let me do it to the best of my ability, because that is how they are. They would do, given a task, they would do it, but to their best ability, and it must be done properly, to the T, sort of.
Perfectionist.
Yes, very, very perfectionist.
I'm sure they'd be very particular about what they do.
Yes, even if he has to make a cup of tea, he will make sure he would do it in stages.
Okay, so I guess it's just creating awareness for people around to know that, these kids or these individuals deserve equal opportunity, and only because they're Down syndrome would be sad to basically take those opportunities away from them.
Yes.
So Angie, Down syndrome is commonly known as an intellectual disability. Can you elaborate on this?
Down syndrome is an intellectual disability, and it is common. It affects common characteristics that are portrayed when a child with Down syndrome is born. Some of the characteristics are physical features. So you'd get the slanting of the eyes, which is extra skin underneath the eye, and it's called an epicanthal fold, and it actually makes the child look as if they are a Chinese sort of. We have a simian line, which is a single line that runs through the palm, which is, if you look at your palm, you'll have an M shape, right? And they just have a straight line that runs through. It's called a simian line. They are very flexible and double jointed, which is they are born with a low muscle tone, which is called hypertonia, and obviously physio helps to strengthen the muscles, and they are very flexible and double jointed.
Okay, so we'll be taking a quick ad break and we'll be back to speak more to Mrs. Govindsamy about the Down Syndrome Association. Welcome back. With me we have Angie Govindsamy from the Down Syndrome Association, KZN. So Angie, could you tell us more about the Down Syndrome Association here in KZN? Just a little bit more about what the association does. How long has this association been in existence for?
The Down Syndrome Association, KZN, is an NPO. We do not get any government funding. We rely strictly on fundraising and funding from outside businesses and corporates. The Down Syndrome Association is in existence for over 30 years now.
That's been a very long time. And in all this while, your funding has just been independently raised.
Yes.
Okay, so what does the Down Syndrome Association do for mums and individuals that have Down syndrome?
We have outreach programs throughout KZN. We are the only association branch in KZN, so we service the whole of KZN. We work very, very closely with the government hospitals, where we work with the speech, OT and physiotherapy departments, because our children have to go for the therapies, and that's how the therapists identify our babies with Down syndrome. And what we actually do is we try to gather them all on one day. After their therapies, the association has an outreach facilitator that goes in and renders support for these mums. We make sure that they are keeping up to their appointments, that the baby is collecting a government grant. The grant actually helps for mum to help baby to take baby to the clinics, make sure that all the basic necessities are covered for baby. When the baby turns, when the child turns around 3 years, we start encouraging mum to start looking for schools and putting baby's name on a waiting list, so that when the child is now 6 years old, that the name is already in a waiting list and the child is already ready to go to school.
So you've been creating awareness for Down syndrome, and you've just had a brilliant walk that you've put together for creating that awareness on Sunday the 28th. And the name says a lot. It seems like a whole lot of fun. So can you tell me how long the Buddy Walk has been taking place for, and a little bit more about the name, Buddy Walk?
Okay, this is my fourth Buddy Walk that I will be hosting. Previously, it was hosted by obviously other members of the association. We say Buddy Walk is because the walk is for obviously people with disabilities. I do not say it's only for people with Down syndrome. We have people with various disabilities that attend the walk. When we say Buddy Walk, we would like all our parents come with their families. So not everybody has a disability. So we have able-bodied people just partnering with a person with a disability and helping them do the walk. This year it was very exciting. We hosted the Buddy Walk at Curry's Fountain. The walk started at Curry's Fountain. We walked up the road and we entered Botanical Gardens, which was very, very exciting and very educational for some of the children with Down syndrome that have come from school, hostels, and we had adults that are in placement centers. So they were able to enjoy the scenery and enjoy the beauty of the gardens. We had lots of volunteers that attended the walk to assist and help children and people with disabilities to actually do the walk.
So with this walk, is it purely just to create awareness, or is there some sort of fundraising for the association?
There's no fundraising that's being held at the association. It's just awareness. But on the day we had awareness stickers that we sold to the public that was there, just to create a little bit of funds for the organization.
So being an ongoing walk, you've just hosted 4 of yourself, and I don't know how many there were prior to this. It's obviously quite well received here in Durban. It takes place once a year in October.
Yes, we have now started calling it an annual annual buddy walk come family fun day. The reason I say family fun day is because I try to gather as many families together as I possibly can, and after the walk, instead of the families just going back home, we serve them lunch. So we would like them to you know, be around for a little bit longer after the walk, get to know other families, mingle, and just have like a fun day. We also have entertainment for the children, like jumping castles, and you know, so that they're not bored and they are entertained.
Yes.
I have a radio DJ that comes every year. He volunteers, he services, and he entertains the crowd with music and dance. So it's a fun-filled day, actually.
So apart from creating awareness with the buddy walk, creating awareness for individuals, for kids or adults with disabilities, I think it's also a great initiative of getting families to support one another so that they don't feel like they out on their own having to deal with an individual that has a disability.
Also very important, besides supporting one another, it's understanding the individual with the disability, whether it's Down syndrome, whether it's autism, whether it's cerebral palsy. You have to understand the condition to be able to know how to identify with the child and behave around the child with the disability. I think that's very important as well.
So how long does this start and end of this walk usually take?
Okay, we start the walk at around 10 o'clock. By 2 o'clock we are basically done because everybody's exhausted and would want to go back home.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Angie, tell me, how can we or the public get to educate ourselves more about Down syndrome?
It's supporting functions like the buddy walk that we just had. If you see a person with Down syndrome or any disability, don't be afraid to go up to the person and learn more about the disability by speaking to the siblings or the parents around them, and you know, just trying to show that support. Just treat them normal and give them a chance to grow in society. That's all, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, with your organization not dependent on any government funding, how can the public contribute to getting your organization to grow?
As I said, we rely a lot on outside funding, so any type of funding would be appreciated. So
is there any specific way that we could get in touch with you? Do you have
Yes.
a website or an email address that we could perhaps share with our viewers?
our website is www.downsyndromekzn.co.za. Email address is downskzn@gmail.com. The landline number is 031 464 2055.
Okay, so Angie, just before we wrap up, what advice or tips can you share with our viewers regarding Down syndrome or just the Down Syndrome Association?
Okay, as I said, just treat them normal, give them a chance in society, you know, let them grow. They are individuals that deserve a chance to be treated normal and to be given an opportunity in society. So.
All right, so we'll be back after an ad break, and we just like to say thank you so much, Angie, for allowing Modern and Modest the opportunity to interview an individual like yourself, a mum to a Down syndrome child, and also a branch manager for Down Syndrome Association.
Thank you so much for affording me this opportunity and for allowing me to create awareness on Down syndrome in your show.
Welcome back to our show, and a topic that would be very interesting to both young and older women. Girl hate is something that we've probably all experienced as young girls, and it tends to grow with us as we get older, but it's something we don't usually focus on. But it is there, and today we have a very passionate individual, a motivational speaker and a life coach, Natisha Maka, who's going to tell us a little bit more about where girl hate actually stems from and how could we as women make better individuals to be able to work together rather than working against each other. So welcome Natisha Maka to Modern and Modest, and what an inspiring and interesting topic for us to be discussing today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited and I'm looking forward to chatting with you and just getting to talk about this this girl hate issue.
Okay, so Natisha, with girl hate, you obviously very passionate about this topic. Why was it something you wanted to chat about? Can you tell us more about where does it actually stem from? Where does girl hate come from? When does it occur?
I would say that there are clearly different root issues concerning this topic, this very relevant topic. For me personally, for most of my life, I've been subjected to it in some way or another. It stems from your identity, it stems from upbringing, your surroundings, just different issues. And for me, I was subjected to a lot of bullying growing up, just for who I was. We live in a very cruel world. My mom, just to give you more of a background and picture as to why I say that, because a lot of people look at you and they have this preconceived idea as to who you are, and I'm sure you get faced with the same thing as do most women out there.
Yes.
They look at you and they have this preconceived idea as to who you are, why you do what you do, where you come from, and society basically puts you in a box, sadly, but it is what it is. And for me, my mom, when giving birth to me, she had a bit of complications during the birth process, and that affected my eyes in a negative way. So from the age of 2, I had to wear these really thick Coca-Cola spectacles.
Okay.
Yeah, from the age of 2, I had a severe squint in my left eye. Well, actually both eyes, but the left eye is the weaker eye, and I was declared legally blind. I'd been to specialists, etc., growing up, and that is what I was subjected to. So children laughed, they teased, they compared my siblings to me. So I was continually faced with that rejection and sort of put under the microscope. So there you are, this little girl, you've got to fend for yourself and you need to arise. And basically that is what I had to do. And that is why I'm so passionate about the cause, because no young girl should have to be subjected to that kind of criticism and that kind of rejection.
So having you with your experience, that's what's allowed you to voice how you feel about bullying and the fact that we shouldn't be subjected and shouldn't be placed in a box. But sadly, there aren't many individuals that would be brave enough to say what needs to be said or to do what you're doing. I mean, you're motivational talking, life coaching, and you are very passionate about grooming and growing young individuals. So could you tell us more about what you do there and how do you help these young girls?
My heart is so strong for young girls. What I've done is, by the grace of God, I've managed to take what was a very negative and outright downcast situation and turn it into something positive. I looked at it and I looked at the way it made me feel, and I would never want to subject that kind of emotion, that kind of pain onto any individual out there. And in life, how I see it to be is you can turn any negative situation into something positive and use that to help society, help other girls, which is what I do, to grow and outgrow those situations. Because yes, life can throw you that kind of curveball, but that does not mean you are subjected and you are forced to remain in that situation. There is light at the end of the tunnel. And if I could do it and come out of that, not to say I've arrived, because I'm still faced with lots of challenges on a daily basis, then anybody else can can overcome it. Because that's what we're meant to do. We're meant to overcome whatever situations life throws at us.
Now, apart from situations that life throws at us in general, I would think in the times that we are in today, we are so exposed to social media. And social media is a new way of bullying, and people can be really nasty on social media. How's that been for you with your motivational workshops or all your talks? Do you get that kind of feedback? And is it just affecting young girls, or is this affecting grown adults? Is this affecting women?
It's affecting people just about like on every single level. Social media is not looking at your age, it's not looking at your race, it's not looking at color or creed. It's cruel and it can be very, very vicious. Fortunately for me, I've managed to stay in my lane, and that's what's been my key, and that's what would be my advice to every single person out there. Stay in your lane, stay out of the clutter, stay out of the negativity, and then you will not get that hitting back at you.
Okay, so again, touching on girl hate. I don't believe that it is just the young girls. Sadly, the stories that you tend to hear seems to be affecting women more in a working environment than young girls that are going to school. So why do you think that is the situation?
There is no clear-cut answer for that. But what I would say from my observations is that women are dealing with so many struggles on a daily basis. And I'm in no way exonerating their actions for what they do, but I think what it does require is for us as women to take the time and do some serious introspection, to look at the different issues as to why are we insecure? Because it's insecurity which
Definitely.
is a deep root for this issue.
Sure.
If you are not sure about who you are, what your purpose is, then you are going to deviate from your path. And somehow or the other, you're going to, whether it's deliberately or not, you're going to try and make it difficult for the next person. And some people just don't know any better. I choose to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, because sometimes what's common knowledge is not always common practice. And I try to give them the benefit of the doubt and say, that they don't know any better, because, everything about you says something about you, and everything that you've been through is preparing you for where you're going to. So I always try to look at not just what I see, you got to look at what's behind what you see. And then somehow it just sort of compensates for my own understanding, because I don't want to just block the person off. I want to give them a second chance. I want to know, why is it that you're doing what you're doing?
Yes, yeah.
Because I don't believe that any human being is born cruel, because they're not. It's learned behavior. And I want to know, why is it that you're behaving that way? And you can correct that kind of behavior.
So these people that start up with girl hate amongst the circles of young teenage girls or grown women, maybe they just have difficulties in embracing or accepting kindness or being happy for the next individual. So yes, I agree, it would stem down to insecurities. So my next question is, maybe you should consider having workshops for women that tend to feel insecure. Maybe that's where it should start out with, and they'll be attacking other women less frequently. I guess it just stems down to being confident. And like you said, I want that second chance. I want to know why. And maybe these women have deep-seated issues, and that's why they react the way they do.
It's not even a question of maybe, it is definite. People will always portray that which they want you to see, and it's the same with social media. They put on social media what they want you to see. So beneath the reality and what we perceive as the reality and that which they would like us to perceive as the reality, there's a whole world under that.
So how would we ever know, or how would we get to know what that real world underneath is? I mean, as women, not a nice thing to say, but they can be deceptive. where you could believe that this is your friend and yes, she is happy for you, but like you've said, what happens behind the scenes or what happens underneath that? What tips could you give us? What do we need to look out for?
I think some people are just so good at wearing a mask, it's hard to see beyond what they want you to see. But at the same time, my heart and my advice is always do you. Be unapologetically you. You are not responsible for the next person's actions or lack of actions. Just continue to be you and never allow their emotions to outweigh yours and to overshadow you and your God-given purpose. That's how I look at it. So they can do whatever it is that they want to do. You got to remain true to your cause and your truth. That's how I see it.
Now, with women, do you think girl hate comes up more with working individuals? Does it happen in a corporate circle, or does it affect women, school mums that maybe drop their girls at school, or home executives? Who does it affect the most?
I don't think there's any particular group of women that it affects the most. I've been pretty much, as women we wear different hats. I've been in corporate, I've been in seasons of my life when I've had my babies, where I've had to take a period off, and yes, I've been the mom that drops off kids and does the pickup and the, how it goes. So I've been subjected to it just about on every single level. So it's not exclusive to corporate women, it's not exclusive to home executives, it's everywhere. It's on every level. There's always a need to compete, there's always a need to be seen and to be heard. And yes, as women, we do need to be seen. We do need to be heard. We do have a voice. We have purpose, we have vision, and we call to make this world a better place. Women are just incredibly powerful.
Okay, we'll take a quick ad break and we'll be back chatting more to Natisha Maka about girl hate. Okay, welcome back. With me we have Natisha Maka. So Natisha, chatting about girl hate and how it's grown from being a young girl into woman. You've recently just been a part of an organization called Women for Women. So could you tell us more about this organization?
Women for Women is a registered NPO. It is a woman empowerment foundation which aims at the upliftment of young girls as well as women in our country and in our society. It is also the official charity of the Tammy Taylor Mrs. South Africa competition.
So how long has this organization been in place for?
It's been just a little under a year, and it was launched and founded by former Miss South Africa, Cindy Nell Roberts.
And how long are you a part of the organization?
I started this year, and when I first heard about it, it was like somebody's, deep calling unto deep. It was like Cindy was actually speaking to my inner spirit, if I can say it that way. And it's everything that I do, everything that I believe in, and I don't believe in reinventing the wheel. And I just thought, this is a movement that is going to effect radical change within our nation, within South Africa. Why not be a part of something that has got such a far and wide reach? And that's exactly what I'm doing.
So with this organization been running for a year and being an empowerment space for women, this has obviously created job opportunities for so many women. How successful has this been over the year that it's been running for?
It has been incredibly successful. What we're focusing on this year as an organization at Women for Women is funding young girls who cannot afford to pay for education, whether it's going to be high school level, primary school level, and even tertiary education. That is what our purpose and our aim is. We also look at training in terms of skills development for women as well, and there we partner with Tammy Taylor Nails, whereby we educate young women and they can then become businesswomen. And this is what's been happening. We look at grooming workshops, we look at skills development like I just mentioned, and it's been so amazing to see women who have a dream but they haven't had the opportunity to help somebody, to have somebody that can open up those relevant doors for them. So that is what the organization does, and it takes women who have purpose, who have dreams, to see that being manifest.
So, Letitia, tell me, apart from your skills training, with the nails and the grooming, are there any other type of skills training that you offer these women?
Yes, it's not just about skills development within the beauty industry. We also offer computer development skills. We also offer sustainable living training. So we are educating people how to make a living and how to become self-sustaining. It goes beyond beauty, and that's what's also so incredible about the organization.
So do you want to tell us more about this self-sustaining initiative that you're with? What is that all about? What happens there?
They teach people how to farm and how to grow their own crops, how to sustain their families, and as it gets a bit bigger, they can then in turn sell these crops to local shops.
Okay, so Natisha, with your focus being education for this year, if an individual wanted to acquire a bursary from you, how would that work? Can you apply? Is there a certain criteria for this?
Woman for Woman is the official charity of the prestigious Tammy Taylor Mrs. South Africa competition. So our focus and our drive this year in fundraising has been to fund education with young girls, be it primary school, high school, tertiary education. So what happens is there are top 25 finalists in the Tammy Taylor Mrs. South Africa competition, and we obviously come from all over our beautiful country, South Africa. I am KwaZulu-Natal's hopeful, and what happens is each finalist gets to then reapply to the Woman for Woman organization to have those funds channeled back into her respective community.
Okay.
So I am excited about those submissions, and going forward, I know that my community is going to benefit. There's such a great need out there, but one thing that I do believe in is that the greater the need, the greater the supply.
Absolutely. And I'm sure that must be such a, it's overwhelming, definitely overwhelming, but also going out and getting out there and making a difference to other women, young girls, grooming them into being independent and becoming entrepreneurs must be such a fulfillment for you or for your other contestants.
So in line with the vision of the Tammy Taylor Mrs. South Africa, coupled with the vision of Woman for Woman, we are women who are effecting radical change within our communities, within our nation. And we're showing society that you can make a difference. You don't have to be this person that's all out there. Start from where you at, because that's how we're going to conquer, and that's how we're going to make it a change within our communities. It's just one step at a time.
Now, having said all of that, it seems very successful over the past year, but any business venture or any type of NGO, there has to be challenges that you face. And what challenges have you faced, or the organizations faced, for the past year?
The challenge for me personally has been regarding funding and fundraising for the Woman for Woman Foundation. Having said that, we live in such a beautiful society, but it's a bit complicated. And here's why I think it's complicated, or why I have found it to be complicated. People and businesses are going through a very tough time in general. However, what I have picked up, because I've been directly subjected to that, is the fact that businesses are prepared to engage and to fund initiatives or individuals who are then able to give something back to them in return. So essentially, what I've picked up is that it's become a business transaction. And sadly, there are different levels in society. People look at the hierarchy. What do you do in corporate? What's your bank balance? What car do you drive? So it's almost like the more you have, the more they're willing to give to you. So it leaves very little space, if any, for complete and pure and undefiled community upliftment. Me, I'm a community ambassador. I represent my community. I represent the modern African woman. We are relatable. We are women who wear different caps on any other given day. We are women who know pain. We are women who have struggles, and we are still going through things. It's challenging.
The struggle.
The struggle is real. And for me, that is my message to other young girls in the community, is that if I can do it and if I can put myself out there, I promise you, you can knock and you can knock on so many doors and you can get so many no's, but there will come that day you'll get your yes. And there will be those people who do genuinely believe in you, and they're not just looking at it from a business perspective.
Well, I think it all comes back to being consistent and believing in what you want to achieve, that end goal. But also, Natisha, you speak from your heart. So I do believe there are those individuals out there that can identify with it and possibly feel the same, where they want to make a difference to society. And those individuals will share and will be giving, because they will then connect with your heart rather than it being the typical business transaction.
100% true. That is so correct. And I've seen it. It's played out in my own life, because I've knocked at so many different doors. And the people that have come through for me are the people, not because I didn't believe in them, but I just thought, would they really? And they've come through for me. And what's been so amazing, they say, practice what you preach. I have found myself in a situation where I have a woman who's actually come through for me. So it's like sisterhood that is actually being manifest through the program. And it's somebody that's in our community, a local businesswoman who comes from humble beginnings. And yes, she's not giving from the overflow of her capacity or her ranking, so to speak. It's sacrificial giving, but she believes in my cause. She believes in the cause which Woman for Woman stands for, and she has come on board as my official sponsor, so to speak.
So Natisha, for the public, how can we get involved with Women for Women? How could we as women make a difference?
How you, the public, can get involved with Women for Women is go to www.womenforwomen.co.za. All the information you need will be on there. We look forward to seeing you and hearing from you, and join the movement.
Well, thank you for watching Modern and Modest with myself, Noshina Ghani, as your host. Next week, Monday, the same time, for more on Modern and Modest.